Yamuna Tirha Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivanadari Sodananana Braja Janaranjana Yasodananana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tirha Vanacharya Yamuna Tirha Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunda Vihari Swami Vishnupada Paramahansa Prabhupada Asadhara Satushi Shiman His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Raj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Harival glorious to the sound devotees all glorious to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Oma Gyana Tivanandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Pandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vasakan Svitamscha Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishubhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Trivyascha Kripa Sindhuvyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitananda Shadvaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya So we're reading the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, so it would be good to have a Śrīmad Bhāgavatam to read. And also if there's some water, that would be good too. Thank you. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 1, The Advent of Lord Krishna, Introduction, text number 23. 22. Is that what's on the board? 22? Paraiva pumstavadrito darad. Paraiva pumstavadrito darad varo. Bhavadvira amshar yadusu pajanyatam. Sayavad orvya param ishvareshvara. Swakala saktya shapayams charad bhuvi. Paraiva pumsavadrito daradvaro. Bhavadvira amshar yadusha pajanyatam. Siyadvad ordvya varam ishvareshvara. Swakala shaktya shapayams chared bhuvi. Ladies. Pura, even before this, Eva, indeed, Pumsa, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Avarita, was certainly known. Dwara, the distress on the earth. Bhavadi, Abhi, by your good selves. Amshai, expanding as plenary portions. Yadushu, in the family of King Yadu. Upajanyatam, take your birth and appear there. Saha, he, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yadvat, as long as. Urdhva, of the earth. Varam, the burden. Ishvara, Ishvaraha, the Lord of Lords. Swakala Shaktya, by his own potency, the time factor. Shapayan, diminishing. Charet, should move. Bhuvi, on the surface of the earth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Lord Brahma informed the demigods. Before we submitted our petition to the Lord, He was already aware of the distress on earth. Consequently, for as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by His own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods should appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. Prabhupada's purport. As stated in the Brahma Samhita 539, Ramadi Murti Shukalani Menatishtan Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvaneshi Kintu Krishnak Swayam Sambhavat Paramatpamanyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamahang Bhadrami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations as Rama, Nrsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well. Who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna, who incarnates personally also. In this verse from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, we find the words Puraiva Pumsa Varito Dwara Dwara. The word Pumsa refers to Krishna, who was already aware of how the whole world was suffering because of the increase of demons. Without reference to the supreme power of the personality of Godhead, demons assert themselves to be independent kings and presidents, and thus they create a disturbance by increasing their military power. When such disturbances are very prominent, Krishna appears. The present also various demoniac states all over the world are increasing their military power in many ways. The whole situation has become distressful. Therefore, Krishna has appeared by his name in the Hare Krishna movement, which will certainly diminish the burden of the world. Philosophers, religionists, and people in general must take to this movement very seriously, for man-made plans and desires will not help bring peace on earth. The transcendental sound Hare Krishna is not different from the person Krishna. Nama Chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purno Shuddho Nitya Mukto Vinatvam Nama Namino. There is no difference between the sound Hare Krishna and Krishna the person. Translation. Lord Brahma informed the demigods, before we submitted our petition to the Lord, He was already aware of the distress on earth. Consequently, for as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by His own potency, the form of time, all of you demigods should appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons, the family of the Yadus. Namo Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatunde Ve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Sadarane. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vedham samatitani vartmanani cha arjuna bhavishami tu bhutani mam tu vedana kasyana. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, He knows everything that's happening in the present, everything that's happened in the past, and everything that's going to happen in the future. He also knows every living entity. Unfortunately, no one knows Him. Therefore, Bhagavatam is giving us some idea of, not only for the demigods, their particular situation, but throughout the whole universe. It is not that Krishna doesn't know what we're planning to do, and He's surprised. And He's wondering, why did you do that? I thought you were going to do this. No, Krishna knows exactly what we're planning to do, even before we even know we're planning to do it. Therefore, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati Brahmayan Sarvabhutani Yantra Rumabhudani Maya. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated on machines made of the material energy. Therefore, Tam Eva Sharanam Gacha Sarabhavena Bharata Tam Eva Sharanam Gacha Sarabhavena Bharata Tat Prasada Param Shantim Stanam Prapasi Shasvatam. Therefore, to surrender unto Him in all respects, O Arjuna, and by His grace you can obtain transcendental peace in the eternal abode. In other words, our first business is not to do something, our first business is to find out what Krishna wants us to do. If we inquire from what Krishna wants us to do, then He's very happy to give us the intelligence to understand what He wants us to do. And if He doesn't give us the intelligence, what He wants us to do, it's because we don't really want Him to tell us what He wants us to do. Or if He told us what He wants us to do, we probably reject it. And therefore Krishna doesn't want to waste His time fighting with us. He's already told us what He wants us to do in Shastra. Unfortunately, Krishna says that because of our conditioned nature, most of us want to do exactly the opposite of what Krishna wants us to do. Therefore, He says such persons are called asuras. And He defines this, well, He says very simply that pravritim cha niritim cha jana navidur asura nasocham napichacharo nasatyam teshu vidyate. That those who are demoniac, of course this word demoniac is, if you use it in the modern society, people will think you're a fanatic or some kind of crazy religious freak. They think demoniac means you can tell the demons because they have two horns and a tail on their back, and some of them carry a trident, and they look kind of unusual. Usually red in the face. They stick anyone with a trident. No, but Krishna doesn't say that that's what a demon is. He says, pravritim cha niritim cha. They don't know what's to be done and what's not to be done. So that's probably most of our day we're in that category. We're not even thinking about what's to be done and what's not to be. We already conclude what's to be done. Exactly what I want to do, that's to be done with this body. Even if Krishna doesn't, and we say, well, because I want to do it and I'm a devotee, therefore Krishna naturally wants me to do it. So the first mistake is we think we're devotees because we've changed our dress or our address. But actually, devotee means one who inquires from Krishna what He wants us to do. At the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna asks Arjuna a question. Finally, Krishna is asking questions. After Arjuna has asked so many questions throughout the Bhagavad Gita, now it's time for Krishna to ask a question. So he says, Kachit etat shrutam bharata. Have you been awake during the class? And Arjuna said, which class? I think I missed that class. And Krishna was not interested in just to find out that Arjuna had his eyes open during the class. And he was pretending to listen. Eka, he wanted to know if you're listening with one pointed attention. So the aim of the Bhagavad Gita is to convince the hearer that we should hear Krishna with one pointed attention. Kachit etachutam partha tvaya kagrena cetasa. Eka cetasa. Your consciousness is actually taking it seriously. Kachit etachutam partha tvaya kagrena cetasa. Kachit et agana samoha. And the symptom that our consciousness is that we've taken it seriously and we listen with one pointed attention is that two things happen. Our ignorance and our illusion are dispelled. So, ignorance means we think we're this body, primarily. We think we're the doer of the activities. We think that we're independent. There's no supreme Lord. So many different things of ignorance. Krishna, in the next verse, he says, Asatyam apratishtam te jagara horanishvaram aparashparam sambhutyam kama haitukam. They say, that is the demoniacs say, that this world is unreal. That there's no real, it's just a bunch of atoms hitting each other, and sometimes they hit here and sometimes they hit there, and it's all kind of random. Everything's random except for the people have discovered that it's random because they expect a good salary from their discovery. They don't expect a random salary. Satyam apratishtam te apratishta. There's nothing steady about it. There may be some law, but it's just arbitrary laws. They just Jagara ahor anishram. They said that there's no real person controlling it. If the sun rises at a certain time and sets at a certain time for billions of years, it's just by accident. Everything's an accident except for their discoveries. Everything's an accident except for their prowess in getting their PhD to discover that everything's an accident. That if everything's an accident, then why don't they sit at home by an accident? They'll get the PhD. They don't. But that accident is by their prowess. That's how they got it. Everything else is an accident. Jagara Ishvara aparashparam sambhutyam, and everything's just a mixed up. Kimayat kamahai tukam, and the real thing that drives everything in the material world, if there's one factor that we have to worship and take seriously, it's lust. That we have to obey. There's no idea that they want to obey lust, but there's no conception that they're already under the control of a much higher power than lust, namely time, kala. Because time is changing everything. There's nothing superior to time in this world, because everything has changed. At every moment, time is influencing every single, whatever you think is going on here, atom, whatever, is influencing everything. Every electron that's moving is being influenced by time. From the so-called atom up to the sun, it's all being influenced by kala. And nothing can change kala. There's no button you push for an emergency and kala stops. It's an emergency. This little child is about to be run over by a car, push the button, and kala stops. Get him out of the way. The time goes on, no matter what we think, whatever we desire, whatever we're doing, we can't stop the inevitable kala. Kala is above the three modes of material nature, and by the influence of the three modes of material nature, activities called karma come into being. So they don't see the control, and they think karma is controlling everything, lust. But and therefore Krishna says, Etam drishtim avashtavya nashtatmano na buddhaya pravanyuga karmana shaye jagatohita. Following such conclusions and laws to themselves, the demoniac create horrible, unbeneficial works which are meant to destroy the world. So, because of lack of vision, beginning with the fact that they don't know even that they're not their body. Now, anyone who doesn't know that they're not their body, at least theoretically, that they put them in the category of a cow or an ass. No offense to the cow or an ass, by the way. Because yadyatma buddhi kunape tritaduke swadi kalatradishu vama ijadi yatirta buddhe saharlej nakarhishish ganesh vavageshu saeva gokara. That this body that we're in is simply a combination of different energies, namely kapha, pitta, and vata, moving the different earth, water, fire, air, intelligence, and false ego. So anyone who thinks themselves to be this body is on the same level as an animal. Because the most obvious thing that for us as conscious beings is the fact that we're not changing. Now if you think you're changing all the time, then you have a problem. There may be more than one person in your body, and we know of a good person who can help you. But even if you have a whole family in your body, still you're still there. You're there with the rest of your family. So the body is always changing, but we're not changing. And anyone who doesn't understand that, then he's a fool, according to Krishna and Bhagavad Gita. As I quoted yesterday, Ukramantam sitim vapi bunjana vagunanvita vimudo nanapashanti pashanti jnana chakshusha. The foolish, they cannot understand how the living entity quits his body, or what kind of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But those whose eyes are trained with knowledge can see all this clearly. Now you take Mugrari the hunter, the Mriga, the animal, and Ari, the enemy of the animals, who's half killing the animals and enjoying it. But by the mercy of Narada Muni, he showed him the result of his activities, that in his next lifetimes, he'd come back as an animal and he'd be tortured by the same animals that he was now torturing in this lifetime. And he changed his mind. Maybe it would be a good idea not to torture animals anymore because it won't feel very good in the future for me. Just like in the Vedic culture, the Vedic literature, it recommends if you want to eat meat, then eat a goat. Goat Narayan. Of course, Narayan is not goat. And you take the goat up to a hill and the new moon night, when there's no light at all, and you whisper into the ear, my dear goat, now I'm going to cut your throat. But don't worry, because in your future lifetime, I'll become a goat and you'll be able to cut my throat. So after eating enough goat burgers, when you whisper, and sometime in the future when you're whispering into the goat's ear, then in the future you'll cut my throat, you start thinking about, well, I don't know, if it's really worth this goat burger. And then you may decide, maybe I better change my diet. So by hearing this knowledge from the Vedic literature, it is not that it's some kind of esoteric knowledge that only some scholar from Bhagavad Gita can understand. No, even the simplest person will be able to understand if he actually pays a little attention, takes it seriously. Unfortunately, people have become conditioned to think maybe, those in India, they haven't been able to condition them so much, but they're doing a pretty good job from what I've seen lately. I think when the Indians come to Oz, they try to find out where the Wizard of Oz is, so they can instruct them how to become a genuine Ozzy. And therefore a lot of times you see the Indians with a baseball cap and everything, you know. They're the cricket fans. And of course in India, I guess they're cricket fans too. Anyhow, imitation of a bad thing is a bad thing. And without thinking that I've left India or I've left wherever we came from, and we've come to Oz. And here we're going to actually have a better time, we're going to make some progress. Progress in what? Even in India, Prabhupada said, even the cultivator in the field, he knows that he's not his body, that he has to act piously, otherwise he's going to get a reaction. Like the boatman with a scholar. The boatman was on the boat, and he'd gone through a big conference, and he was a big lecturer, and he presented his ideas at the conference. And Prabhupada said, in India, there's so many rivers, and people take advantage of transportation by going on a boat. So the boatman and the scholar was on the boat, and the scholar asked the boatman, "Do you see over there all these trees and the flowers and the fauna? Do you know what they are?" And the boatman said, "No." I said, "I'm just an illiterate boatman. I don't understand anything about flora and ferns and trees." So the scholar said, 25% of your life is wasted. And then they were traveling a little further and looked in the sky, and they said, "Do you see all those clouds, my dear boatman? All those nubili and all these different, do you know what all these clouds are?" He said, "No, I'm just an illiterate boatman. I just plow my boat and make a living." So the scholar said, "Then 50% of your life is wasted." And they were traveling a little further, and they saw some animals on the bank, and he said, "Do you know which of these animals are, what their Latin names are?" And the boatman said, "No, I don't know anything about that." He said, "Then 75% of your life is wasted." And then all the clouds gathered, and they became dark, and it began to rain down and pour, and the boat began filling up with water. And the boatman asked the scholar, "Do you know how to swim?" And the scholar said, "No." He said, "Then 100% of your life is wasted." So we don't know the most basic knowledge, and we're talking as if we're great scholars, and we're presenting our credentials as a great personality. And even if we don't have whatever credentials we have, we're thinking within ourselves, "I know so much." But when we get down to it, after reading Bhagavad Gita for so long, after hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, after practicing devotional service, we're still in the bodily concept of life. So that should invoke a little bit of humility. That it's not that only the people on the outside, etam drishtim avashtavya, they've lost their vision. We've also lost our vision. We have a perverted idea of what actually reality is. So as Krishna says, "Ukramantam siddhim vapi bhunjana vinandritaha vimudo namapashanti." Vimuda, the great fools, they don't know how the living entity quits his body or what kind of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature. It's not enough to go to your Ayurvedic doctor, he takes your pulse, pitta constitution. Then, I know what kind of body I have. No, it's more important to know what kind of modes of nature we're situated under. Not only, I'm in goodness, I'm a devotee. Or, sometimes I feel in passion, sometimes I'm in ignorance. We should be able to perceive what mode of nature I'm working under. That's why these books are there, So we can see, if I'm acting in ignorance, we think, well, this is a really good ignorance. This illusion is what I was looking for. I was hoping to get this illusion sooner or later. Or now I'm in passion. Now I feel I'm strong, I'm energetic, I can conquer the universe. Krishna, come on, let's fight. Now when we see that we're in passion, then we should try to change it by chanting Hare Krishna. Changing it, because after all, the soul, he has a choice. Either he can accept the mode of nature he's under, or he can try to change it by changing his consciousness, adding Krishna consciousness, and then switching his attention over to the Krishna consciousness and not taking so seriously the mode of nature he's under at the present moment. In other words, if we're not in Krishna conscious, as Krishna says, nasti buddhiya yuktasya, na cha yuktasya bhavanaha, na cha bhavantak shantir, ashantasya kutak sukham. That for one who's not in the divine consciousness can have neither controlled mind nor steady intelligence, without which there's no possibility of peace. And how can there be any possibility of happiness without peace? So if our aim in life is to become happy, then we have to look, how much during the day am I actually fixing my mind on Krishna? And how much during the day I'm more or less content with whatever is coming, because this is me, this is the universe, this is where I belong, and we're making progress, my bank account is increasing, we're not decreasing too much, my family is getting bigger and stronger, everything's going the way I want it to be. And if things go wrong, I have my japa beads and I can chant Hare Krishna. Oh, Krishna, help me. Thanks a lot, I'll see you next Jamastra. It's cool, it's all right. No, we should become alarmed. My consciousness is not on Krishna right now. I'm producing karma with whatever I'm doing. I may be producing a good illusion in the future, or I may be producing a very bad illusion in the future, but it's all illusion. It's another illusion, another body, another cycle of suffering, all because I'm thinking that, well, it's all right. Everyone tells me it's all right. I'm in Australia. The weather's a little cool, but it'll get warmer. Don't worry about it. The sun's there, the surf is good, the food's good. We're going to have fireworks soon. Everything is good. Matter of fact, a couple of days, tomorrow we'll have a picnic. She'll be right, mate, no worries. And we don't know if when we're gonna have to take another body, where we're gonna go. We don't know what modes of nature I'm under right now. But Rupa Goswami, he tells us that after going through Kanista Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, and Uttama Adhikari, defining in detail in the Nectar of Instruction, and what to speak of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, what the different levels of devotees are, which more or less is what mode of nature they're influenced by, either goodness, passion, ignorance, or pure goodness. To be able to discern where others are at, because we're not going to be able to judge ourselves so easily. Matter of fact, according to how we see others, that's probably a good idea of where we're at. So our first business is to discern who's on what level of devotional service. In other words, what is influencing this devotee's activities? Of course, any devotee who's chanting Hare Krishna is under the divine energy to some extent. So we're all under the divine energy to some extent, when we're chanting Hare Krishna, that is. Otherwise, when we stop chanting Hare Krishna, then we're under some other energy. And we can understand someone is probably fixed in Krishna consciousness, Drita Vrata. If they're taking it seriously, they've surpassed simply acting piously or trying to make nice arrangements for their happiness in the material world. In other words, avoiding the things that we know are going to entrap us in horrible karma In the West, people have no idea. In India, they used to have an idea that if I do this activity, then I'll get bad karma and I'll have to suffer in the future. Nowadays, by modern education, even in India, people don't really care. They don't know about it, practically speaking. And therefore, they don't know that there's such a thing as karma, and that they can actually, if they perform sinful activities, illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, intoxication, then their future is very dim. And those who know about it, maybe their grandmother told them about it or something, and therefore they're a little attentive to it, then they want to have a happy life. I don't think anyone came from India here looking for Krishna. They couldn't find him in India. Therefore, let's go to Oz. Maybe he's there. No, here you're supposed to have a happy life. I mean, India, you live in a place like Mumbai or Delhi, it's like, you can't even breathe in Delhi. Unless you have you bought a year's supply of oxygen. So indeed, you come to Oz, there's fresh air here sometimes. The water is probably a lot cleaner. And if you eat food, you don't have to wonder about what is actually, they say have something on the label, who put the label there. Try and peel off the old label, see what's actually. Like in India, they had this ghee. What was that? This certain ghee, which is 100%, was supposed to be 100% pure cow ghee, cow ghee. And the Brahmins were all proud. We're eating this pure cow ghee for so long, and then someone decided to do an analysis of what this pure cow ghee is. And they found out there was a large percentage of pig fat in the cow ghee. So all these proud Brahmins and everyone else thinking they're eating pure cow ghee were actually eating pig fat for years. And who do you blame? One person had enough intelligence to actually do an analysis of it and found out what was really there. Everyone else is saying, well, everything's all right. No one cheats in India. India is, because we're in India, everything here is pure. Unlike in the West, where sometimes there's politicians who cheat. So we have to learn how to analyze things properly. There's so many devotees, for instance, in our society, they choose a leader, and then they find out that they create this image of the leader. He's the leader, so he must be perfect. And whatever I do, he tells me, he gives me blessings, so whatever I do is perfect too. And then later on you find out that the leader is not perfect, and that therefore all the things that you're doing that he told you were perfect were not perfect. And who's responsible? He's responsible. He told me to do it. Now you're responsible because you're so foolish. You didn't take shelter of the actual authority who could tell you what to do. Neither did he. Therefore, andaya tandira upagiyamanas te pisha tantra urudami bara. The blind people are following the blind leaders, and then anything goes wrong, they blame the leader. I'm innocent. Yamaraj comes to take you away and say, wait a second, I was innocent, I just followed this leader. Take the leader away. I got his address, I'll tell you where to go. No, Krishna says, or actually Prahaladananda said, Nite vidu swarthikatimi Vishnu. They don't know that the aim is to reach Vishnu, Krishna. So unless our activities are fixing our mind on Krishna, unless, as it says in the Bhagavatam, when people ask, sometimes devotees ask, what is the symptoms of someone who's actually making advancement in Krishna consciousness. As if it's all kind of mysterious, Sometimes even amongst leaders, I mention something like this, and they say, well, we don't have a thermometer to judge who's an Uttama-Adhikari. In other words, all our books are just wasted. Till we get the thermometer to stick it into, Kanishta. No, it's all there in the Bhagavatam. Otherwise, why did they waste their time giving us this literature? So we have to be able to discern who's on what level by the symptoms of how they're manifesting the symptoms, and then we can understand. So Krishna says, Nate vidu swarata gatim hi Vishnu. They don't know that the aim is to reach Vishnu. The aim is not to only to get a good marriage, to get wealthy, get a good, nice education, have my children trained up nicely. That's not the aim. The aim, these things are meant to help us get to the aim. They're not the aim themselves. The aim is to always remember Krishna and never forget Him. So unless someone is teaching me someone at least should be teaching me how to always remember Krishna and never forget Him, otherwise we're just wasting our time. We're just transferring our illusion from what we think is not such a good illusion to go to the heavenly planets and have a good illusion for some time. Come to Oz and have a first-class illusion in the material world. And then when we get tired of Oz, we go back to India, visit our grandmother who tells us what's actually going on. So we have to be able to understand Krishna, and we go back in verses in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So Prahlad Maharaj said that Matirana Krishna parataksato va mito bipadyeta grihavatanam adanta govir vishatam tamizram punak punas charvata charvananam. So there's so many people giving us advice. Now, Gurur nasasyat, swajano nasasyat, pita nasasyat, swajano nasasyat, daivam nasasyat, jana nasasyat, memochita yaksum paitu mrityum. That it's not like the guru. We have our initiating guru, our shiksha gurus, and they're responsible, and we just do whatever we want because we have guru and they're our shield. They've accepted our sinful reactions, and therefore they've given us the guru credit card. If there's any sinful activity, we just charge it to our guru. No, the whole idea is that we have to take shelter of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra is the basis. Without understanding Shastra, then we won't understand what Guru is saying either. And we won't understand who actually are the different levels of Guru. For instance, a devotee who's just trying to chant Hare Krishna. And it's not so easy to chant Hare Krishna. At least the symptom of chanting Hare Krishna is drita vrata. Trying to chant Hare Krishna is drita vrata. And what does drita vrata means? I'm giving up my false ego. It's not that I'm just determined to get something. No, I'm determined to act in Krishna consciousness. I'm trying to develop that determination. And what takes away that determination to act in Krishna consciousness? It's because we have so many material desires. Sex desire may be the king of all desires, or the queen, but it's not the only desire. There's manifestations of that desire in so many different fields. Because in order to gratify our sex desire, you need so many different paraphernalia, you need a healthy body, this is called griha vrata. You need a healthy body, you need money, you need a family, griha kshetra, sutapta vitara, janasya moho, yamaham mamaiti. And you need a false ego too. So to give up the false ego and identify oneself as the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, that's called drita vrata. one has come to the platform of at least acknowledging I have to give up these false identifications and simply accept my identification as a servant of Krishna. That's called initiation. That's the qualification for initiation, is determination in this lifetime, I'm going to give up my false identification with this gross and subtle material body. I'm going to follow the process by which I'm going to do so. I'm not going to observe myself and see whether or not I'm following the process or not. But first I have to learn what the process is, and then I have to observe myself if I'm following it. Not that no one's looking, super soul, it's Chaturamasya, he's asleep, everything's cool. I just do whatever I want, and no one's complaining because, Krishna, please, we have, don't tell on me. It's a secret between you and me. No, we have to become determined to find out what I'm supposed to do, and then determined to do it. And as a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Therefore Arjuna was asked at the end, have you heard this with attention? Have you actually taken it seriously? And now are you prepared to fix according to my instructions? Are you free from ignorance and illusion? So we may not be free from our illusion because we're not free from lust or greed or anger, but we have to make some kind of determined vow to try and make some improvement. That's called Dhridavrata. And then the result will be prayojana. We'll actually become conscious of Krishna and realize how sweet Krishna is and how sweet devotional service is and how sweet our lives can be despite living in the material world. How we can live internally in pure consciousness and see externally how everything is arranged by Krishna, that he's our protector and maintainer, etc., etc. We can actually make advancement in real consciousness of Krishna. And then humility, we talk about how do we become humble. We can't become humble until we find out how wonderful Krishna is, how great Krishna is. Otherwise, we'll just compare ourselves, I'm humble because, for now, because this devotee is better than I am in this, and I'm a little humble so I can learn from him and then surpass him. No, we have to see, there's so many people giving you so many instructions, and some of them may be useful, but they're only useful if we're utilizing them to serve the supreme instruction, namely to always remember Krishna and never forget him, by always become determined to satisfy Krishna's representatives in disciple succession, especially those, the Acharya, who's not only always chanting Hare Krishna, who's not only with determination serving his guru, but has the humility and the love for Krishna. He's doing it because he's a pure devotee of Krishna. So all the devotees can be appreciated. Anyone who chants Hare Krishna, Rupa Goswami says, should be appreciated. Anyone who's taken a vow and is actually fulfilling it, not that I've taken a vow and then we took initiation, I crossed my fingers, I was thinking, yes, I'm going to follow 3 regular principles, although I'm vowing 4. I'm not going to eat any meat or fish or eggs. That's my 3 regular principles I'm going to follow the rest of my life. No, then it's not it's not really a vow. It's a cheating. We're cheating ourselves, cheating others. And therefore the benefit is a little bit less than 0. Because at least if you're on 0, you're not getting the karmic reactions for cheating people and yourself. Therefore we have to see those who are actually taking the vow and seriously trying to fulfill it. And then those who are actually on the level of someone like Srila Prabhupada, who's actually in love of God, who has the clarity of vision that he knows exactly what we're supposed to do also, and he does exactly what he's supposed to do. So that takes some higher discernment that we may not have, but at least when we join the Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, We accept Srila Prabhupada as the Founder-Acharya, as we theoretically accept that Krishna is God. I mean, how many of us have seen the unlimited beauty of Krishna lately? Of course, the deities are very beautiful, but I think if we entered Radha-Vallabha and Mr. and Mrs. Universe contest, not everyone would actually elect them. Although, because everyone lacks the vision, and we lack the vision too. Therefore, as we're accepting Krishna theoretically as the Supreme Person, we're also accepting Srila Prabhupada as the Supreme Authority within our society, and everyone, it doesn't matter who they are, has to refer to Srila Prabhupada, whether in their activities and in their instructions to others to perform activities. None of us are independent. And all of us, whatever advancement we're on, whatever we're doing which is correct, this is all because it's coming down, flowing through Prabhupada's books, his instructions and example, through his representatives also. Therefore, Matirana Krishna Parataksatova Mito Bipadyeta Griharatana. How do we know when we're going wrong? Because we're in this bodily concept of life. We're taking, we think, have a healthy body, that's the aim of life. I'm all right today because, you know. Or if we have a nice family, they'll protect us, you know. We have even my children, they're not quite up to the standard, but my dog he's loyal. When I come home at night, no one pays me much attention, but the dog comes and greets me. At least he wags his tail. Some indication I'm back home. So it's cool. Everything. And my society, I live in a great neighborhood. There's hardly any robberies in my neighborhood. No one gets molested here. I'm safe. I'm all right. I can walk at night, and I'm not going to get robbed. We're okay. And I'm living in Oz. The Wizard of Oz is here. Everyone is here. Tin Man came here. Everyone came here. Even Dorothy came. And the Wizard is making so many wonderful progresses. We have so many new machines coming out all the time. The internet is faster. We don't need any intelligence anymore because we have artificial intelligence. As we replace our heart and lungs, now they finally invented something to replace our brains. Because I had hardly anything left anyhow. No, this griha-vrata, this taking shelter of this bodily concept, we're in it, but we should be a little alarmed by it. It's not going to save me at the time of death. We can't call 9/11, what's wrong? I'm about to die. Don't worry, we're sending over our crew, they'll help you. And what's the whole thing? Matirana Krishna Parataksatova Mito Bipadyeta Grihavratana Adanta Gobira. Adanta means blind. We're blind. Adanta Gobira. Vishatam Tamizram. Gobira. We're blindly serving our minds, which is one of the senses, its desires. But what is the result? Punak punas charvata charvanana. We're just going to chew the same thing we chewed yesterday and since time immemorial. Nothing new is going to be there. Maybe if you fast, go through some austerity, and then you eat prasadam the next day, it tastes much better. Because it's something a little newer. It's not the same thing. The sense is a little bit more pure, and therefore but it's still, if we're just eating prasadam even to taste, sense gratification, it's newer, it seems to be new, but it's the same thing. It's some limited realm of sense gratification that we accepted as something very special. So therefore, Nate vidu swarthagatimi Vishnu. People don't know how wonderful Krishna is. And compared to Krishna, everything else is insignificant. Nate vidu swarthagatimi Vishnu. Darashaya. Ye bahir arthamanina. They've taken shelter of something which is insignificant. It doesn't matter what it is. I can become the emperor of the whole universe. But compared to Krishna consciousness, it's insignificant. Like Dhruva Maharaj, he wanted to become have a kingdom greater than that of his great-grandfather, Lord Brahma. That he wanted something bigger than the universe. But when he met Krishna, he thought that this is useless, this is insignificant. Tuchava, compared to Krishna consciousness. It's tuchava, insignificant. Like the 6 Goswamis, as it says, Tyaktva deham Tyaktva tornam ashesha mandalapati Shrenim sadatu chavat Budvadina gunesha karunaya Gopina kanta shrito Gopi bhava rasamrita dilahari Kolo lamogna mohu Bande rupa sanatana raguyago Shri jiva gopalago. So the 6 Goswamis, Tyaktva Tornam Ashesha Mandalapati, they had positions much greater than any so-called leader in our modern society, because they were leading a society where people were half civilized. They weren't herding animals. Tyaktva Tornam Ashesha Mandalapati, they were extremely wealthy, some of them, Raghunath Das Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they were big leaders in a big empire. But they gave it up, and they went to Vrindavan where they lived like ordinary mendicants, begging from door to door. But they were so much enriched with the gopis' feelings of separation that they enjoyed transcendental pleasure at every moment. So they were always in ecstasy. They were living in a world of love and ecstasy at every moment, not in a world of struggling to get one drop of happiness for a fraction of a second. Therefore, they were actually wealthy in love of God. So that wealth is there if we take to it, if we actually understand that there's nothing more significant than whatever we're doing. While we're doing it, we should be doing it in Krishna consciousness, as a service to Krishna. That will make the activity perfect, whatever it might be, and it'll make our lives perfect too. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Yes.
Thank you, Shrimad. You give the example of that boatman.
You like that example?
Yes, Maharaj. So you gave that example of a boatman and the scholar. Now, if we apply the same example in our devotional life, like we also study the books. So what should be the mood that we don't become the scholar, but at the same time we become scholar and devotee at the same time? That you use the sentence that going through the books, it should humble you down, that, oh, I'm not that level. But that mood takes a while to come.
No, we have to become conscious of Krishna. Humility will not be developed unless we become conscious of Krishna. The more we become conscious of Krishna, the more we fall in love with Krishna, then the more our humility will develop. I mean, Kamsa was conscious of Krishna and he hated Krishna. He was not exactly the most humble person you want to meet. So, but someone like Srimati Radharani, she is conscious of Krishna, although she's the greatest devotee, she feels the greatest humility also, because of love. She sees everyone, any service done by a devotee to Krishna, she thinks is greater than mine, out of loving humility. She loves everyone. Therefore she feels humble, really humble. So they both have to develop simultaneously. Otherwise, I'm the most humble. You're not the most anything. Srimati Radharani doesn't go around, I'm the most humble. She feels real humility out of love. As Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm low in the worm and stool, that anyone who chants my name actually gets, all his pious activities get removed. So Prabhupada said he's actually feeling like that, out of love. Not he feels, what do they call that, low self-esteem. No, he feels love, not low self-esteem. He feels love for everyone and everything in relation to Krishna, what to speak of Krishna. Therefore, he's genuinely feeling like that.
So Maharaj, following that question, I mean, following that statements, I mean, considering my current state, it's very hard to imagine that level of consciousness.
So we can't. Why bother trying to imagine it? Just trying to theoretically understand it. To imagine, what's the sense of imagining it? It's not going to get any. It's like looking at a bottle of honey, and then looking through the glass, and imagining what it's going to taste like by licking the glass. You won't get any experience of the honey by licking the glass. You have to learn how to open the bottle and then get the honey out, and then you can taste it. So we should try to understand, not imagine where we're at. We should read the scriptures to see where we're actually at, where everyone else is at, who to actually take shelter of, so we can find how we can actually advance to actually tasting the honey within the bottle.
Jai. Thank you, Maharaj.
Anything else? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the enlivening lecture. Maharaj, you mentioned that...
What did you like about the lecture?
The examples you gave, like the Birdman story. Yeah.
Okay. Any question?
So
The
Maharaj,
same thing when someone asked Prabhupada, as I gave the story the other day, Prabhupada, give us, Swamiji, give us your blessings. And Prabhupada said, what blessings? What do you want? So some of them like the lecture, we like to find out what they said right about the lecture. Yes.
so Maharaj, you mentioned that even after performing devotional service, hearing Śrīmad Bhāgavatam for so long, we are still in the bodily concept of life. So what is lacking in our sadhana? Is it our sincerity, or is it our past karma that doesn't let us implement what we're hearing every day?
Lack of sincerity. But we have to become, it's not we were born sincere. We came out of the womb of our mother, we said, where are the japa beads? I got a chant 16 rounds. No, we probably weren't trained up to become pure devotees of Krishna since our childhood. We're not exactly in the level of Prahlad Maharaj. Narada Muni wasn't preaching to us in the womb, when we were in the womb. So we came out, and here we are now. Now we're trying to develop sincerity. But sincerity, how can we... The paradox is that the Krishna consciousness is full of unlimited pleasure. But we don't experience unlimited pleasure when we chant Hare Krishna. So it's a fight. We get the practical pleasure we've gotten since time immemorial is by eating, sleeping, mating, defending. So we have a reference from how I've enjoyed. And now we're told I have to give these up and concentrate my mind with love on the sound vibration of Hare Krishna. I'm trying to do it, but sometimes it doesn't work. Krishna is not just surrendering to me, as I think he should, because I'm so sincere. And therefore I get bored sometimes. I get distracted. And I think, let me get something to eat. This chanting is really hard. So to be able to, that which in the beginning is bitter like poison, at the end is like nectar, which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. So we have to pass big tests and we have to pass little tests. And when we pass the little test, we get a little advancement. When we pass the bigger test, we get bigger advancement. But unless we can learn how to pass the little tests, how are we going to be able to handle the bigger tests? So gradually our sincerity is developed. As our taste for Krishna consciousness develops, as our understanding develops, so our sincerity develops. And our sincerity will help us pass little tests and then maybe bigger ones in the future.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you again, Maharaj, for the wonderful discourse. My question is the influence of karma and kala. So we are trying to cultivate the consciousness of Krishna through the practice of bhakti yoga, and we're not at the perfected stage, obviously. We're very much influenced by the material modes of nature and, by laziness, procrastination, and you name it. So
Bhaktivedanta, of course, named it. Prabhupada names it also.
Yes, Maharaj. So my question is that as practitioners who are, far away from the state of perfection, how much is the influence of karma, the momentum of past activities, and the influence of kala, the influence of time, which is the context of this verse? So as sadhakas, how much are we influenced? And we're making an effort, but karma and kala, does that, nip us down? The experience feels that way sometimes.
Yeah, it's called Maya. Yoga chalati manasa. As soon as one tries to make advancement in spiritual life, Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavad Gita, then Maya will try to discourage one in so many different ways. So it's all up to us. One could become Krishna conscious in a moment, or not after millions of years. It's only a question of understanding and accepting reality, the facts. So karma tate nukampam susamikshamano bunjana evatma kritam vipakam ridvagvabhubhira namaste divata sambhukti sade sabdayabha. So karma will influence us if we don't see things properly. But as soon as we see things properly and we take shelter of Krishna, then there's no more influence of karma. Then we're under Krishna's shelter. So there's a question of our accepting Krishna's shelter to the degree that we can. There's no more karma. There may be reactions externally, but those are being minimized by Krishna to help us develop more tolerance and take shelter of refuge in Krishna. So we can't blame our karma. The fault there, as it says in the William Shakespeare says, the fault there, Brutus, lies not in the stars, but in ourselves, that we are underlings. Even Shakespeare understood that. Therefore, we hear the Bhagavatam class, as much as we take it seriously, or Bhagavad Gita, or whatever we're reading from Prabhupada's books, where we're trying to understand. As much as we take it seriously, then we understand under all circumstances, different circumstances, how to take shelter of Krishna. And therefore we won't react according to our karma. And therefore we don't react according to the karma that's pushing us. We take shelter of Krishna. Therefore there will be no more seeing repeated birth and death. Thank you very much. Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande Haribo.
Ki jai. Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Aravindadalaya Taksham Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundaram Kandar Agom Ikamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Andani Yasa Sakale